Hello, hello. Welcome to this free webinar about simple steps to take action for sustainability at work. So as you join the webinar, it would be great if you could put in the chat box your first name and where you're joining from, so that we can see where everyone is located. In the meanwhile, I will just share my screen to put on the presentation. So again, for the people joining, thanks for joining. So this is a free webinar about simple steps to take action for sustainability at work. So before we start, I just wanted to say that this webinar is being recorded. So the settings are such that the cameras and the microphones are muted. But if you would like to ask questions, please put them in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself as well. So so there's no problem in that. It's just that I put it on mute so that we don't hear different noises in the background. So also just to say that this webinar will last around 1 hour. So we should be finished around 1 o'clock. So let me see what you've put in the chat box, where people are joining from. Let's have a look. Okay. So we have Sona, Ute, Virginia, Sabine, and someone else of whose names I don't see. So welcome. So I suggest we get started. And as other people join along the way, hopefully this will become an interactive webinar. So thanks for joining again. So what you will learn today in this webinar is really, this is for people who care about sustainability and who have started adopting a more responsible lifestyle in their private lives, and would also like to step up for good in their professional lives. However, don't quite know how. So here today, the idea is that you discover a simple 5-step process that will help you take action. And will come up with concrete action steps, as this will be interactive, hopefully, if you're willing to participate. So before we start, a couple of words on myself. So I'm Marina Eyrich. I'm a business sustainability coach. And since my mission is really to empower people to take action for sustainability in their jobs, in their professional lives, in their business. Why in their professional lives? Because there are lots of people that are starting to take action in their private lives or in their community, but really don't know what to do at work, on how to change things at work. So here's where I come in, and I help people to take action, because it's actually possible. You can change things from inside your company or your business, even if you're an employee and even if your company is not doing a lot. So it is possible. So this is what I do. So since 5 years, I'm a CSR consultant and business sustainability coach. I'm also a guest lecturer on these topics across business schools in Europe. And also I'm an entrepreneur and the founder of Teams for Purpose. And really at Teams for Purpose, we focus on this empowerment of employees and people to take action for sustainability in their professional lives. My background is in international business management and sustainable business. For many years, I was an employee in a big corporation, and I was also what you call today an entrepreneur. So I changed things from the inside. And I also, I'm a former social startup founder, and I have founded different networks as well. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm just gonna have a look if other people have joined in the meanwhile. So we have Noemi, Rebecca. So thanks everyone for joining. So really today I'm going to share a 5-step process, okay, that anyone can take really to start taking action for sustainability at work. So the first one really that I recommend is clarify what sustainability means for you. Because if you ask someone what is sustainability, you will get a lot of different answers. So the question to you today is really, what does it mean for you? So it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on this. So what does sustainability mean for you? So if anyone would like to unmute themselves and comment on that, or just put it in the chat box, please go ahead. And afterwards, I will share the most commonly, let's say, the most commonly accepted definition of sustainability. So really, I invite you to have a thought. What is it? What does it mean, sustainability, for you? And I will explain after why that is important. Does anyone have a try? If you want to unmute yourself, you can, at the bottom of the Zoom menu, you will have like a little microphone that you can just unclick, and then you can unmute yourself, or just put a comment in the chat box. So I don't know if anyone is actually, for some reason, I can't see the chat box. Have a look. I'll go back to Zoom. I'm going to have a look at. So I have here the chat box. Yes, it's a big question. So Noemi says it's a big question. If anyone has thoughts on this, I just welcome you to, don't be shy. There's not one or wrong answer. Okay, so if nobody wants to comment, I'll just continue.
Hey.
Yes, hi, Noemi.
Yeah. I think it's really big question, because sustainability is really like a word, let's say. But for me, it's everything related to like low impact activity, like something that not damage our environment, and like also living in a way that we don't consume too much, and take care of the environment around us and the biodiversity and everything.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you for sharing, Noemi. I also have Regina, who says to ensure the environment and all related topics that belong to good living for the future generations. Yes. Suna, I hope I'm pronouncing well your name, says considering the ecological, social, and economical impact of a decision on an equal basis. Yes, definitely. Yeah, cool. Any other comments? Okay, so I will continue with the presentation. So basically, there is no one, let's say, common or official or universally, let's say, official definition of sustainability. But I'm going to share here with you, let's say, the definitions or the concepts that are most commonly shared. So I'm just seeing that Ute also has a comment to make more clear that this affects all of us and not only some. Okay. Great, so thank you for your contributions. So again, so there are like a few definitions I'm going to share with you, but if you actually dig deeper, you will find even more details and other types of definition, but they all come back to what I'm going to share today. So basically, in 1987, there was a commission headed by Miss Brundtland, which was the former Prime Minister of Norway, who did a report for the World Commission on Environment and Development, and they came up at that time, they came up with this concept of sustainable development, which says that sustainable development meets the needs of the present, that compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So really, this is the concept that says, that has this idea of intergenerational equity. So it means that a sustainable development or sustainability is about preserving the earth and its resources for future generations. So if think of 1987 or 1992, when this concept was like officially adopted at the Earth Rio Summit, the Earth Summit in Rio, well, I was a child. So if you think now I have children and maybe you have children or grandchildren, so this is really about how can we live as humans and do our activities as humans in a way that we preserve earth resources also for our children and our grandchildren. Okay, so this is like this first concept about intergenerational equity. And so this has been further developed, and basically what the UN says that in order to actually achieve that, we have to take into account economic, environmental, and social concerns into the ways we take decisions, okay? Because actually nowadays, if you think about it, most of the decisions at the political level, but also in the businesses, are really focused on mostly on economic aspects, okay? Whereas now we have to start focusing also on including environmental and social aspects in it. So you will also find often these three pillars, what I call the three interdependent pillars of sustainability, which is economic development, social justice, and environmental protection, which also one of you mentioned in the chat before. And they're really interconnected. So one doesn't work without the other, okay? You will also find often the concept of the 3P, people, planet, and profit, which has more or less the same idea, okay? Which was actually, it's over 20 years ago, John Elkington, he came up with this triple bottom line because he wanted to create a way for companies to integrate those three aspects into the kind of accounting system, but it still hasn't been really integrated. This is where the 3P or people, planet, profit comes from, like the triple bottom line, okay? So really the idea is, how do we integrate these three aspects into our decision-making process, okay? And also to finalize this aspect of what is sustainability, basically every 15 years the United Nations work on like a global agenda, global goals for most of the countries. And in 2015 the United Nations basically with most of the countries of the world actually approved what we call today the Sustainable Development Goals, or the Agenda 2030. So 17 goals that we have to achieve in the next, well, it was supposed to be 15 years. Now we have 10 years left to achieve these goals. And if you have a look at them, you will find these three pillars inside. You will find goals related to social aspects, like for example, no poverty, or quality education, environmental, like clean water, climate change, and so on. And also economic aspects like decent growth or responsible and consumption and production. But actually they're all interrelated, okay? So this is for your knowledge, for your base. And I think it's helpful if you want to take action at work for sustainability, to have that in mind, to see, okay, what is actually sustainability, to have in mind those three aspects and how you can actually take action on these. So this is what we will continue now. So again, step one, clarify what sustainability means for you. And why is it important? Because, so actually people have, clients I have helped or I've accompanied here, it's really helpful to get clarity on the concept, because actually if you'll have a look, even companies, when they start working on sustainability, they will kind of adapt their sustainability strategy on what they mean in terms of sustainability for their business, because those three overarching concepts are like super vast. So you have to start with something to make it more concrete. So basically it's helpful to get clarity on the concept. This will help you to start to get focus and to start taking action, okay? And also if, for example, you engage colleagues on these aspects, if you clarify what that means, it will help also to find a common ground for discussion, okay? So this is why this is helpful. So again, so we know what overall sustainability means, but clarify what it means for you if you want to take action. Here I have some suggestions for you. So you can obviously get inspired by the definitions I shared before. But what I always suggest is to start with what you care about. What do you, I mean, of the three things, what do you really care about? Is it like more social things or more the environmental aspect? When it comes to environmental aspects, is it more like the waste, or is it more how to reduce your carbon footprint? You know, what is it? What do you really care about? Okay. And also, so the first thing was you truly care about, and what is easy to start with, because maybe you care about, I don't know, the clean beaches, but you live super far away from the beach. So maybe it's not so tangible. Really start with something that you can, you know, start from today or tomorrow. Okay. I don't know if you have questions on this or comments as we move forward. Just let me know. You can unmute yourself or put the comments in the chat box. So this was really the step. Okay, we have a question here. All good. Okay, thanks. So we continue. So the second step I recommend is really start taking action in your circle of control. So I will explain what that means. So if you look at, there is a book from a guy called Stephen Covey about the 7 habits of highly effective people. And he says, if you're really concerned about something, you cannot change the world by yourself, like immediately, okay? So he suggests to start with something when the first step is to start in this circle of what he calls a circle of control. So if you have your different circles, you have the circle of control, circle of influence, and then really what you're concerned about or what you would like to change, okay? So really start with that. What can you control in your immediate surroundings? So how can you integrate the different sustainability aspects that I shared before into the way you take decisions today? It can be, I don't know, if you work in I'm just saying something. If you work in marketing, is it like the way you choose a supplier? Maybe it's a supplier that is more social responsible or more environmentally responsible, you know, like take decisions in a different way, including these different, the 3 pillars I mentioned before. What habits can I change at work without needing to ask for permission at work? Because often we say, but I can't do that because it's maybe not company policy or whatever. But actually, there are lots of things you can do without asking for permission. I will just share some ideas after, but the idea is that you come up yourself with something, okay? What can I change easily and fast? And what could be a quick win? And then again, always ask yourself, what do I care about? Because if you really work on something that you care about emotionally, it will help keep up motivation over the long run. If it's like something somebody said you should do this, and then it's like, who cares? It's not really close to your heart, then you will just drop it. If it's really something you're super emotional about, then you will keep the motivation going. That's why I always suggest choose something that you care about. So here the question is up to you. So what could be something that you could change in your circle of control, something that is easy to change? I have some ideas after in the next slide, but I would like to hear your first thoughts. If something comes to your mind, it's something that you could change even today or tomorrow in your job, where you don't need to ask for permission to anyone. And that has like a less of an impact or like a lower impact socially, environmentally, or even has a positive impact economically. Yes, I see that Noemi is unmuting herself.
The way we commute to work, for example,
Yes.
using the bike, recycling also, like just adding more trash bins.
Yes, definitely.
Like not wasting electricity, turning off the screen and the light when we leave the office.
Yes.
Can be simple steps.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, great. These are the simple things that anyone can do without asking permission. So it's just a different habit, right? Okay, Claudia is saying start with Ecosia. You did start with Ecosia. Yes, I also have Ecosia. So for people that don't know Ecosia, it's a purpose-driven search engine. So they actually plant trees with your searches. So I think I've planted around 90 trees or something with my different searches across the last months or something between my phone and my computer. So that's really nice. Any other ideas? Anything that you could change in the way you actually go to work or are at work? Any other ideas that you could have? I don't know if somebody wants to. Yes?
Maybe it's a bit bigger, but like make clear that you don't eat meat. Like this one, there is like lunch with the team and everything. It should be like vegetarian option.
Yes.
It's also good to reduce the impact.
Yes, definitely. Again, this is something that you don't need to ask permission to anyone. Rebecca is saying, make your own coffee in a reusable coffee mug. Yes, also, definitely. Reduce your waste. Yeah. Any other ideas or comments from other people? Virginia is saying, sensibilize population because people, for example, many persons do not know the sustainability goals. Yes, talk about the sustainability goals and how they can take action on them. Yes, that even goes further. Yes. Sabine is saying just simply engage in conversation with colleagues about these topics. Cycling to work, plant-based lifestyle. So basically meaning vegetables and fruits, right? Share facts with them so they start thinking about it. Yes. So create awareness around you. Yes, definitely. Cool. So thanks for your contribution. So I have like in here, like Ute saying use your own bags when shopping and about plastic bags. Yes, exactly. You can do that also at work actually. So so if you have So we'll share some of these afterwards. But definitely many things that you actually do at home, you can actually transpose them at work as well. So for example, so I have this is like a non-exhaustive list. Obviously you can add many more things. It's just like if you don't have any ideas, you can pick from here basically. So again, so Naomi mentioned mobility, so you can go to work in a less polluting way using public transport, bike, food, carpooling, or even home office can be also an option. Paper, lots of things that can be done. So print less, print recto verso, multiple pages. Do you really need to print something? So here you can do many things. If you, again, when you go out for lunch, go more like, as mentioned before, into kind of plant-based, let's say food, less meat and organic if possible. Reduce your waste. So either like if you smoke, for example, throw the cigarettes butts in a bin and not on the street. Use a reusable kitchenware. So lots of people, I live here in the Paris region, and lots of people take away food, and then they're always in this plastic container. So why you can bring your own container actually. Or actually the other day I met a guy who was he started cooking his own food and bringing it to work, and in the beginning everyone was making fun of him. And now lots of people are actually joining and doing the same. And what is interesting is that it's less expensive also than going out for lunch every day. Actually, there are many activities. So again, so the IT use a purpose-driven search engine. There's not only Ecosia, but also others. For example, Quant, they don't use your personal data, you know, like Google, basically they're tracking all your life, whereas like Ecosia and Quant and all of these, they don't. And then if you go a bit further, you can apply the 5 R's. I don't know if anyone knows this. So reduce, refuse, reuse, repair, recycle. So basically, do you really need to buy something or need like a specific thing in your work? Reduce basically consumption, refuse to consume, reuse things more, repair and recycle. So I think some of you, I think Noemi mentioned also recycling. So if it doesn't exist in your office yet, why don't initiate something like that? Okay. A simple thing that is really helping recycling is if you remove everyone's individual waste basket next to the desk, because then people will get up and bring the paper, you know, go to a kind of a collective place to throw away their things and then recycle. So this is just a little idea. Okay, so let's continue. So this was step 1. What is sustainability? What do you care about? What would you motivate you to start with? Step 2, start within your circle of control with simple things that you don't need permission to ask and that anyone can do, and talk about it to other people. As you start doing these things, other people will get inspired and do the same. Okay, the third step. So remember the circle. So we start taking action now in the circle of influence. Here, the idea is really to go, who else can I influence in my job, in my business, to work towards sustainability, so social, environmental aspects, and do things differently. So again, what other areas can I influence for good, let's say? Where can you be proactive? But here the idea is really to focus on where you can actually make a difference. It's no use to trying to influence some guy that has never listened to you or is like not really related to your job, but really make it tangible to where you can make a difference, okay? And involve and inspire others, because actually lots of people want to be part of this movement as well. Once somebody starts, lots of people will join. Okay, and again, stick to something that you truly care about and that motivates you to keep moving on the long term. So if this makes sense, would be interesting. I don't know if anyone has thoughts on this. What else could you do that goes beyond what we discussed before? You know, maybe, I don't know if you can share what your work is and what you could do maybe differently in your work, or how you could influence others, your colleagues, on these aspects. I don't know if anyone wants to share. Otherwise, I have a list of ideas. No, nice.
Maybe when, like, for example, on Tuesday it was like World Wildlife Day, so maybe do an announcement on like the Slack channel of the work to talk about it and send some nice video or links to raise awareness. Like, it's not really sustainability at work, but it's also just to inform for like special day, and I think it's nice because it's like good occasion to talk about it. But
okay,
no.
So this creates awareness about the wildlife, but it could be interesting in that case is to see how this is linked to your business, because often if you do that, people think, yeah, it's nice, but then how is that linked to me? You know,
Yeah.
have a discussion of how is that impacting your business or the way you work or your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, wildlife is a bit far away from the office.
Yes, but
So
actually it's important. The definite you will find, if you start digging, you will find a link to your business, because we're all related to that. Yes, thank you.
Hello.
Anyone else?
Hello.
Yes, Virginia?
Hello. Yeah. For instance, I inspire my colleagues in my praxis to use water, but not drink water, but not some that they in the past bring in the plastic bottle. Now we have a system with what. A system with filter water, so that we can practically have drink water for all without using plastic.
Great.
It was a wonderful inspiration.
Okay.
Yes,
So you
for
reduce your
example.
plastic
Yeah.
consumption.
Mhm.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Any other ideas? How could you be like, if you think about your job, your own job, how could you do things differently? Anyone wants to comment or has an idea? So I don't know, maybe you want to share what your job is. So maybe I could provide some ideas. Otherwise I have some ideas in the next slide as well. So I will just share the ones I have, but again, it's not exhaustive at all. So if you want to share what you do for a job, and then I can maybe, or the team, the other people here can have ideas. So here really the idea is to, if you work in a specific job function or you are a small business owner, how can you do things differently in the way you actually work? Okay. So one thing is to create awareness, but also the other thing, as mentioned before, is how can you take decisions in a way that you include environmental and social aspects apart from economic ones in how you take decisions and how you make things. So we have a comment from someone. Sabine, we avoid traveling by plane and choose a train travel. Yes, definitely. That's a good choice to yeah, because actually if you take one plane, this is emitting so much CO2 that it can offset many other actions that you take. This is a big one. The airplane travel. So here there are some, sorry, I'm just trying to okay. So for example, I have some ideas for some functions, let's say, but obviously this is not exhaustive, and maybe some other job functions or job types are missing here. So if you think about marketing and sales, so the way you actually promote your products or your services can be done in a more responsible way. So you can use recycled paper or use materials that are more responsible. Like for example, you have nowadays papers where you have like kind of grains inside that you can, this paper becomes afterwards kind of, you can plant it and becomes like a plant. You can involve customers. So more and more people want to actually buy more green or more responsible products. But this really need to be careful to stay authentic and avoid greenwashing. You know, if it's just one thing and the company doesn't do anything else, this can be tricky. Reduce packaging. This is a big thing, to reduce packaging or switch to eco-friendly versions, for example, or use no packaging. This is the new trend as well, to avoid packaging. And for example, if you do events in the company, they could be made in a way to avoid waste. So can be waste related to food leftovers, but also to the type of, you know, the glasses, things that they use. Just use reusable materials instead of plastic that you throw away afterwards. So this can be this is like a small list. I actually did a video series on different ideas for marketing and sales, HR and so on. So you can have a look on my website for these. And logistics, there are so many things you could do in logistics and procurement, but one of these could be how to actually transport things in a different way. So we mentioned mobility of employees, how they come to work, or for example, as Sabine is saying, for traveling, for conferences and so on. But the same goes for if you actually, you know, on the logistics chain, how can you actually reduce the impact of the products that come, you know, that you bring to your warehouse. So there are different methods, you know, to switch to more eco-friendly versions. You can introduce responsible sourcing criteria when you actually, if you work in procurement and you source from suppliers that are more, that actually introduce these responsible criteria into their own way of working, or source from socially or eco-friendly suppliers that only do that, for example. So this is called impact sourcing. So this is something that you could do. Big companies have started doing that. Like Unilever, for example, they have more and more criteria to, so a supplier needs to do something on social responsibility to be selected. Yes, the same for tech companies. There's so much to be done on tech, actually. So I don't have things here on tech, but if you think about IT or digital in general, there's an increasing impact because we consume more and more digital products, and so you have an impact when it comes to the material itself. So your phone or the hardware. Basically, the short span of life of a computer or a phone has a big impact because you have like a high environmental impact when you produce those items or hardware, let's say, and the components that are inside are very often kind of components that are rare or that are like kind of conflict minerals or things like that. So if you extend the life of your hardware, this will help in reducing your impact. Okay. So again, if you're in a tech company, choose suppliers that work on these aspects, maybe help you extend the lifetime or have products that.
But I'm thinking about software, like company that sell software and like take care that they don't have product, like physical product to sell, but like online.
Yeah.
Product,
they still use hardware. You know, even if you have a software, you use your computer to do all these things. So maybe you work in a way that you use your computers longer. Or for example, another thing you can use to reduce your impact is to that, let's say the data, because most of these like websites today or kind of IT or digital services consume a lot of data. So the more data you use, the more energy you use, and the more energy needs to be created to energy used to cool down the servers that actually stock those data. So there's like a way of doing eco design of, let's say, digital services like software, for example, so that these softwares consume less energy. Okay, so this could be an action that can be done, that your product becomes more ecological, even if you're a software company. But actually, this is like a specific field that is like a really how do you say? It's a growing trend for IT companies or IT software suppliers to actually see, actually, I'm having a higher impact now. What can I do? You know. Because now I think nowadays everything that comes to digital it's consuming around 6 to 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions, and it's increasing. So companies are starting to think of how to reduce their impact here. You mean to use more clouds? The question of the clouds, actually, it's a tricky one. From what I understood is that if it's a cloud that is, for example, if you use a cloud from a supplier, like for example, Google, I know that they use renewable energy. So if you would use a cloud from Google, you know that you use energy, but they use renewables to, kind of, let's say, cool down the servers that are stocking this data. Okay, but then it really depends on the supplier. I wouldn't know about Amazon. They have also cloud services. I'm not sure what they do. And also, but the overall problem is how can we reduce this energy consumption as a whole? Because as we move forward, still the renewables is a very tiny, how do you say, a tiny share of the overall energy. How the energy is created in a country. So in France, it's like it's okay, but if you take Germany, it's like most of it is fossil. So even if you're in the cloud, make sure that it's run, or let's say servers are cooled in a renewable way. Otherwise, it's like you still have a high impact. I'm not sure if this is clear, but the idea is that you'll have a longer lasting look of where is this coming from, and where are the impacts behind from what I see. Okay. Okay, just to come back to the list. So so again, so if you're in logistics or procurement, collaborate with suppliers. And what is super important, and it comes back to this question of IT, improve product design to make your products, even if it's like a digital product, repairable, reusable, and prolong their lifetime. If you think about phones, for example, or applications, all the time you have to update them, and all the times they become kind of obsolete. This is really a problem. How to make them last longer, so you don't have to update them all the time, and then they consume more energy space in your device. So for example, my iPhone, I bought it 3 years ago, and now I don't have any space left because the system, the iOS system, is taking up like 90% of the space. 3 years ago, it was maybe half of it. So these kind of things. How can you change that, basically? And then when it comes to, so I don't know if anyone is working on HR or engaging their teams. So there are lots of things you can actually do to, you mentioned also how to engage your colleagues or have discussions and so on. So from my experience, when you have employees or people engaged on social or environmental aspects in their work on top of their normal work, let's say, this is really super motivating, and it's adding purpose to their jobs. And today, lots of people are actually looking for meaning and purpose. So this is a way to add purpose to people's jobs if they engage in social and environmental aspects. Okay. Go paperless, switch to eco-friendly carpet. So anyway, so you can have a look at these. Like, there's like so many things you could do. I don't know if you have any other ideas of things that you could do differently in your job, apart from reducing waste when you reducing waste or recycle or reuse your cutlery in your own job. Is there anything you could do differently?
Maybe I can give one example. I work with the certification of the products we have in a company, yes. And usually you have to send to the certification body samples, free samples of the product. And for this certification, they destroy the samples. They need to look inside the product, and after they finish the certification, they ask, "What do you want to do with your sample? Should we return this waste to you, or should we destroy self?" And then what we decided is that they return the sample to us, and from the destroyed sample, then we use the parts that we can evaluate that they are in optimal conditions, and these parts then we use for to repair then some other products, Although the reuse of the samples that we send to certification, that was, for example, a good step. And in the former time, okay, we have said, please waste the sample, but now we reuse the internal parts of the samples. So
okay, thank you. Yes, so you reduce the kind of waste that would be created somewhere. I don't know where these certification bodies are, but basically you try to reduce the waste and reuse those parts. Yes, that's
and we have now new parts. In the case that some client send their products to us for one reclamation, for example, some product doesn't work, then we use these parts in order to repair the
Great.
products.
Nice, thank you for sharing. So it's a good example to reuse materials. Yes. Okay.
It's Claudia. I might have an idea that goes in line with Virginia, what just said. If you a tech company and you have to produce a lot of samples to validate products, we've introduced more simulation programs. Of course, you have the off-trade that the software is using energy, but it's far less than producing the hardware to test and find out what are the limits of the hardware. So simulation, I think, is a good way forward of reducing materials to be used to validate a new product introduction.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and
Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
and in terms of how to engage others, I have made good experience with suppliers as well as internal people to work with an award system or incentivize them. So we had suppliers that we said we would like to start with an award, an annual award of the most eco-friendly supplier in a certain area, and we gave some targets. That was just completely voluntary, so they were able to join or not, but then the award was that they were mentioned on our homepage and communicated to customers, so they had a wide spread of their initiative, and that was quite successful.
Great, nice. This goes into collaborate with suppliers and engage them as well. Really good. And also this enabled you to be, let's say, enabled you to become more responsible because those suppliers became more responsible, and they will probably also engage their suppliers in the end. It's a nice initiative. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Any other ideas or things that somebody wants to share? No? Okay. So this was really the third step. So I will share two additional steps that you could take. So really, this whole thing about sustainability is really it's about the long term. Okay. So really the idea is to keep the focus, not just say, okay, I'm going to do something now and then I forget about it, but it's more like a journey. So I always say sustainability is like a journey. So even, and especially when it comes to sustainability within a company, since there are so many players and so many people involved, it's more like a marathon, not a sprint. So because change takes time, basically. That's why I always say, start with something that you are motivated with, that is really close to what you do, because this will help to persevere and keep the focus. And what I also suggest is you keep learning and improving over time. So even me, I'm in this since over 5 years, and I keep learning and keep improving and keep learning new things and testing and failing. As very famous people say, failing, we don't have to be afraid of failure, because when it comes to sustainability, lots of things have to be created, newly created. You know, there are not so many examples out there, so there will probably be failures. But it's a necessary stepping stone to success, you know. And there's a nice quote from Mandela who said, I never lose, I never lose, either I win or I learn. So I think it's really inspiring to think about that, you know, and to allow ourselves to make a mistake, especially on this topic like sustainability. Then have patience and compassion. This is like something I recommend, because sometimes they want to go fast and want to involve others, and we don't see how they don't see the thing and how they can be so slow. But actually everyone, this is like people have to change the way they do, you know, even yourself, you have to change the way you see things, the way you take decisions, the way you have certain habits. So it takes time, and you have to have patience and compassion with yourself and also with others. Okay. And then in the end, have fun, because it's an opportunity to create something new and create something better for tomorrow, right? So this should be something fun and not something boring or like a chore, right? So I always try to also remember myself, this should be fun, right? Okay. Okay, and then, so this is a quote from Gabrielle Bernstein, who says, it starts with you. So everyone has a part to, actually, I don't see what's written here. You have a major part in the healing of the world. So really every one of us is important and needs to be part of this journey and this change. Okay. So, and the last step I recommend is keep learning and teaming up, because if you stay by yourself doing some things, it's great, but you have to continue and team up with other people that are on your same, ride the same wave. So again, so sustainability is a journey. The more you get informed, the more inspiration you will get also from other people. So I always recommend to follow influencers or institutions on social media, or subscribe to their newsletters. Depends what works for you better. If it's better to follow them on social media or read an email. Read books, attend conferences, roundtables. You know, there are so many conferences and things even out there on social media. watch documentaries and movies around this. So there's like a nice movie that was done last year by WWF and Netflix that is called My Planet, My Business. It's like half an hour. And actually this is a movie that you can even stream in your office. You know, it's like one of you, I think it was Noemi who mentioned just like stream a movie and then have people discuss about it. So you can actually do that for free if you mention that it's from WWF and Netflix. And it's really about the different environmental impacts we're creating with our human activity and why this is important for our businesses. So it's a nice movie. Get trained and get support and team up with like-minded change makers. So this is really a recommendation I have. So as you move forward. So to recap, the 5 steps. So the first is clarify what sustainability means for you and what motivates you. And then you can have a common grounded discussions with other people that you're trying to influence. Take action within your circle of control. So little things that you can do by yourself. Then how can you influence others in your job to make the job differently together with others? And then think about the long term. And again, if you do something that is related really close to your heart, you will keep the motivation to keep moving on the long term. And then stay up to date and get support, get informed, you know, expand your awareness about this topic. So yeah, so that's really my recommendations on these 5 steps. So it would be interesting to know if this exercise has inspired you and what are your key takeaways? Was this helpful? Did you learn something new?
I really like it. It was really nice. And I like the circle, what you mentioned, like start with your circle of influence and make it bigger and bigger step by step. And I think this is really important. And from my experience, this is how I started to get concerned about sustainability and starting by making change in my own life. And days after days became bigger and people also are interested by what I do and they want to do the same. So I think it's really a good representation of the way we should start. I really like it.
Okay, great. I'm happy that it resonated with you. Yes, I think it's helpful. You know, we always think we have to make big changes, but actually you have to start the first step. You know, if you take the first step, this will lead to another and another and another. And we have to remember that, okay? So we have comments from Rebecca. If you have more documentary recommendations, please share. Our websites with research and data. Yes, I can share afterwards. I will send a replay of this webinar and I can share some sources. Or some, you know, influencers, things like that. Documentaries, there are so many out there. It really depends on what you care for and what your business is working in. So, for example, you have this French movie called Demain, or Tomorrow, the movie, which is really great. It's about all the different initiatives that are around the globe. There was now a follow-up movie, but there's also the one from Leonardo DiCaprio about which is kind of more shocking, you know, what climate change is gonna do. But there are so many different out there, but I'm gonna send you a list of the things that, well, the ones at least that I watched and I thought were good. So I'm not sure what your name is, Livil Hochstrasse. I really like the practical examples, what we can do in marketing working. Okay, great. Again, there are so many things. This is just initial ideas, right? I will share also the different videos I did with more ideas in the mail I will send you. Claudia, thanks for sharing how to make a start. Yes, you're welcome. Sabine, we missed the beginning, but we got inspired by acting on the things we can influence, quick wins. Also, this got us thinking more about the data we use and store. Yes, definitely. And of course, got inspired to stay motivated and think of the long-term goals. Yes. If you're interested in this IT thing, actually, so I attended last year a conference about this topic. And I also in my sustainability expert network, I have some people that actually work on that 100%. And I wrote an article blog about this. So if you're interested, I can share that as well on how, if you're having an IT service, how you can change things and make things differently. Yes, I will. Okay. Okay. So what are your, okay. Yes, I'm motivated by means of this webinar. Great. Yes. Again, I mean, the thing is, you really need to surround yourself with people that are taking action. Otherwise, you're kind of, you know, this is definitely not an easy I wouldn't say it's an easy journey, but it's super motivating and super necessary. So the more you team up with other people that think the same and are on the same journey with you, the more you will keep the focus and keep moving. Okay. So what would be like one action you would think about taking today or tomorrow, from, if it's like one takeaway, something that you would do different? Now, is anyone thinking about one action they could take? Could be something like super simple, like reuse a bottle instead of plastic bottle. I don't know. What is the one step? Yes.
I already have a reusable bottle, but I think like just maybe a good step would be to talk about this webinar, like to my colleagues, and say that I watched really nice webinar about sustainability at the office, and maybe give the 5 steps that maybe also kind of trigger interest for other people. I think this could be a really cool way.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts from somebody else? Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to share at the end. So I'm going to share something more now, because if you are actually motivated to continue and to go further, I actually propose support to help you in taking action for good in your job and business. So I have a coaching circle. It's called Action for Sustainability Circle. It's a coaching program that lasts 6 weeks. So it's like very short and very condensed, in which I help you and coach you to take throughout your action for sustainability in your job. Okay. So I'm gonna present you that now in the last 10 minutes. So again, it's a 6 weeks coaching program to support and empower you to take action for sustainability in your professional life. Because today you discover different things you could do, but actually this helps you to really take action and move forward and really take actions in these 6 weeks, okay? And have a real impact. So who is this for? For people, individual change makers, so employees or small business owners who want to have an impact for good in their professional lives and that need support to taking the first steps. So what you will learn, so it's like a mix of action, coaching, and training, okay? So you will learn about sustainability and change management. You will take real action and stay accountable, and you will work on your mindset, because again, there will be setbacks, but here the idea is that we are a group, and you work on your mindset to actually continue working on that and stay in action. So it's what is included. It's 4 live sessions online for 1 hour and 15 minutes, more or less, around lunchtime, like today, and it's taking place every 2 weeks. And the collective sessions really help you stay focused and accountable and take action. Okay, there are some workbooks in between that you can use as resources. And if there are more than 5 participants, I will create a closed Facebook group for additional support and focus. And 1 month after the program ends, there will be 1 bonus live session, so that you guys stay actually accountable and you stay in action. Okay, so these sessions will be recorded in case you cannot join, but to get the most out of it, really it's recommended to join them. So what will you learn? This is really in detail. So what is sustainability within an organization? How you can take action in your job, your workplace, your business, or your association, if you're having an association. You'll understand what it means to lead change within an organization, how you can do that too. How the importance of actually using data to convince people and to track progress. And you will learn what it means to be an intrapreneur or an entrepreneur for good. And also I will challenge you to come up with concrete action steps. You will have to take action between every 2 weeks, okay, on sustainability, on whatever you choose to take action on. It's a safe space to share your plans, your challenges and setbacks, and to discuss progress, what went well, what didn't go well, and to have a group of support. As mentioned, if you are together in this journey, this will help to move forward, okay, and keep the motivation. Results, so real action and impact for good. So take action, become more confident, because action creates confidence, and stay accountable. Connection and support of the group, and then learning new concepts, as mentioned, on sustainability, mindset, and change management. I have some testimonials. So Virginia, who's here today, she was part of my one of last year's sustainability circle. So she can share afterwards what it brought for her. But I also have a testimonial from Neil, who participated in a similar program I ran last year. So really, so for example, Virginia said the Action for a Sustainability Circle was a specialized business coaching that helped provided tools and knowledge and support. And actually it helped her to create her sustainability charter for her business Vida and Plus. And Neil, he said, I've talked to, connected with and learned from so many new people, all of you included, so the people that participated. And I feel I'm now on a path of purpose. I've become much braver about reaching out to and learn from others. So it was inspiring also to learn from the others and have, you know, the causes of everyone else was really inspiring. And it was really encouraging. There are so many out there trying to make a difference. It helps to remember that with each setbacks or obstacle faced. Okay. So I don't know, Virginia, if you want to have a quick word. Otherwise, I think your testimonial here is very, very inspiring. Okay. Otherwise, I will move forward. So here are some examples of actions taken by individuals I worked with, but again, this is not exhaustive and I probably couldn't remember everything. So mention this: switch to filtered water versus plastic water, change to an ecological energy supplier at the workplace, switch to ecological cleaning products, involvement of staff, of colleagues on more responsible practices. It's something you mentioned also before. Switching to a more responsible bank or credit institute. Engaging stakeholders to promote a piece of art. So there was somebody who was an artist, and it was all around how this piece of art could create awareness on climate change. Engage local political interest groups on the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. Engage stakeholders to step up, to set up a local process for plastic recycling. So it was about plastics that were difficult to recycle. So there was a person who was like setting up a process for that. Look at alternative transport methods and logistics, changing habits at work, such as reusing, you know, like cutlery, what we mentioned before. Engage suppliers. And also it's really what is really also always coming up in these coaching sessions is the mindset. So really better understand how you can make an impact or not, and you know, where you can do it or not, and what steps you can take, and what it takes to drive change on the long term. And be brave about being bold, because often people want to do something, but they don't really dare. Whereas if you are in such a program, you have to take action, and then you actually have to force yourself and go out of your comfort zone and really do that change. Okay, so this is also what this is helpful for. So when does it start? It starts next week. So Friday 13th, a lucky day, at 12 o'clock, like today's webinar. So it's the same time. And it will take place every 2 weeks. So the next session is on Friday, the March 27th, April the 10th, and April 24th. So, and then there will be the bonus call on end of May, so that you stay accountable and in action. All calls take place on Zoom like today. And for people that cannot join, the sessions will be recorded. So what is this worth? So usually if I do sustainability coaching, I charge a lot, because I do that really with companies that have more budgets. So this would be worth 3,000 euros, and the workbooks also have a price. My experience, I couldn't put a price, but it's priceless. So experience as a business sustainability coach, lecturer, and corporate, former corporate entrepreneur. But for you, let's say, I understand it's for people that have a different budget and are maybe individual change makers. So the investment for this is 120 euros for the whole program. So again, what is included? 4 calls, 4 live calls plus 1 bonus call, the workbooks, and then the Facebook group if there are enough people. So it's really not really a lot, I would say. And also if you have a special, let's say, how do you say, a special, like, it's not really a promotion, but I thought it would be nice to actually, you know, if part of this money went for a call towards a cause. So if you join between today and Sunday, which is International Women's Day, I will give 25% of this investment to One Person per Planet. I don't know if anyone knows this. One Person per Planet, they actually support an environmental nonprofit activities. So 30 euros will be donated to this organization if you join between today and Sunday. Okay, So again, your investment, 120 euros, including 30 euro donation. And there's a money back guarantee. If you join the first call and you see, it's not for me, you have 2 weeks to say, no, this is not for me, and you will be refunded. Okay. And then, so yeah, so this is just a summary of what we discussed today. So the 5-step process, we came up with some concrete steps that you could take, or at least you can take the process back home and discuss with your colleagues. And if you want to go further, it's possible for you to join the Action for Sustainability Circle. There are still some spots left, and it starts next Friday. So I don't know if you have other questions. Otherwise, it's finished. So just let me know if you have other questions. I'm gonna share also the link to us. Sorry, there are some comments. Thank you for your presentation. We have to go now. Have a lovely day. Ute says thank you. Yes, so if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm gonna share just here the link to the to the coaching program if this is something that interests you. Otherwise, I'm gonna share it also per email later with a webinar replay. So it was really a pleasure to discuss with you and hear your thoughts. And I really encourage you to start taking action, because we need everyone to be part of this. Okay. So yes, Noemi, go ahead.
I just wanted to tell you thank you. It was really interesting. Really great webinar.
Okay, you're welcome. I'm really happy that this helped you. Okay.
And yeah, have a nice day. I need to go also.
Okay, thank you. You too.
Goodbye.
Bye. So thank you, everyone, and stay in touch. Bye.